Hey, this is a continuation of the video I made yesterday. Ran out of the time for YouTube that YouTube allowed. I was talking about people who are obsessed with isms, racism and sexism, etc. More so than they are about actual violent crimes. And anyway, I didn't get into this half of it, but I want to talk about homosexuality too, because I used to live with a couple of gay guys, and all the time when friends of mine had come over to my house a million times, came over and they'd have the gay discussion in the living room with my roommates as if they were the sole representatives of the entire gay community. But anyway, I just thought that was weird. To me, I mean, it'd be like somebody coming, like a girl being at my house and somebody suddenly saying, hey, you know, I'm perfectly fine with women voting and going to work and even being a doctor if they want to. You know, it's like, yeah, well, good for you, so what? I mean, nobody would do that. Nobody would feel the need to tell a woman, you know, I'm okay with equal rights for girls. Because it's just ridiculous. Like, obviously, that not equal rights is ridiculous. It's just stupid to feel like you have to say that. I mean, it's just no shit. And if someone did do that, I'd be a little, I'd sound like they're struggling with that. Like, they just now came to the realization that women are not some kind of lesser life form or whatever. Blows my mind. But here's the deadly thing. I was talking about Israel yesterday. I was just using that as an example. But I think one of the most powerful things that silence critics about Israel, who does have a complete racial apartheid. I mean, they literally go in and bulldoze down people's homes, and then they build new cities for Jews only. I mean, that is just as bad as the black and white apartheid in South Africa. We have one with Jewish and Palestinian one, with the Israelis, you know, one the fifth largest military in the world, is demolishing these people, killing kids or throwing rocks, etc. But the reason people can speak up and did speak up about the South African apartheid is because that was white on black, and that was very fashionable to say, oh, well, that's wrong, because everybody, and it is wrong, but they, you know, they'd say, for Israel, people go, well, look at all these Arabs in tiny little Israel. It's like, oh, look at all Africa and tiny little white South Africa, like somehow the parameters of your country justifies racial apartheid. It doesn't. But people actually say stupid shit like that. And the reason people won't speak out against Israel is because somebody will call them an anti-Semite and say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. Nothing to do with Jews, just what the nation Israel is doing. But just like you wouldn't be anti-white if you spoke out against the racial apartheid in South Africa in the 90s or Nazism or something, it wouldn't make you anti-white. Look at all the white people who died fighting the Nazis and stuff. It would just be, no, I'm just against racial apartheid, even if it was the other way around and blacks were doing it to whites. You just can't do it. But when Jews do it, and it ain't like the Jews doing it, it's Israelis doing it, for but the race, whatever involved, or Jews, people won't say anything because they're so scared, they're so inculcated with guilt about the Holocaust and yada yada that Israel can do whatever it wants. And these over-socialized liberals are so scared of being labeled racist, it's like the worst thing in the world, that no matter how bogus the claim is, they're so afraid of that label that they sit there and say nothing. They're scared to death to speak out against Israel. They cannot deal with name calling, and that makes you a coward. You're not an activist or an advocate of social justice. If you're afraid of someone calling you an anti-Semite or some word, and it makes you scared to do the right thing, you're nothing but a pussy. Because I have a few minutes left, I think I'll try to squeeze in a third point, and this is something I was talking about with a frequent member of my forum named Thunk. And that's the double standard we have with other kinds of prejudice, like towards people who are fat, people who are short, people who are hairy, whatever. I mean, I've seen people, and this is in the media, and this is just in common life, just rip into overweight people, or people who are too skinny, or somebody's got a unibrow or something like that. I mean, they just dogging on that person. And yeah, somebody can change their weight if they want to. Usually, sometimes they can't, but if they act on it. But who cares? I mean, that to me, I don't know. Like, somebody can't really change their size. If somebody's short, and people are, I hate short people, blah blah blah. Or if somebody's really tall, they'll tell you. I mean, someone will come up and say, "How tall are you?" And then they say, "I got a friend who's like whatever, close to that height." That's what happens to tall people. I have an identical twin, and so I kind of grew up with the crap of somebody, which one are you, and blah blah blah, and having shared reputations with somebody who looked like me and everything. So maybe I was, because of that, acutely aware of this stuff. But I don't know. I think this is a huge double standard. We rip on people for all kinds of stuff, and I'm not saying it's not okay to tease people, whatever. I just feel like, why are some of them special and some of them okay? Appearance is one thing to rip on somebody for appearance, but I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of hate for people who aren't beautiful, and it's really sad. I just don't care. I teach jiu-jitsu. I got all kinds of size guys in there. Got a couple girls in there too, and we have weight classes. It's not my rule. It's like official rule. But I don't know. It doesn't matter in jiu-jitsu, like face looks like or anything, obviously. But I see these guys outside my class and they get treated differently. There's like a different dynamic out there in the real world or whatever than on the mat. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Prejudice toward young people, prejudice toward old people, or prejudice toward beautiful people too. There's people who are just like so jealous and bitchy towards someone that they think's attractive, usually the same sex. Right away, even that person could be really nice, but or someone's got a nice looking face and someone assumes, oh, they must be an idiot, or someone's got a southern accent, so like, oh, that guy's just a ignorant country bumpkin or whatever. I mean, there's so much prejudice out there, and a lot of these stereotypes are supported in our media. I know the one about Southerners is, and the ones about like dumb blondes and stuff are pretty much straight up there. I mean, just like the goofy Warner Brothers cartoons of black people and Native Americans and stuff. I mean, Harry Balls, you know, I mean, it looks really bad now, but I wonder if the future will look back and see some of the shit we have on now and say, man, what are they doing? That was so mean. It's really screwed up.